The 1%er Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a 1%er.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is your host, Sam Bakhtiar with the 1%er Podcast. I got my main man, Sergio Bruna, in the house. What's up, brother?
How are you, Sam?
Thank you so much. Suited, booted up, looking sharp, brother. Gosh.
Thank you.
Sergio, thank you so much for driving all the way from West LA to come to my man cave.
Of course, the pleasure is all mine. I've been a big fan of yours, and I've been following you for a while. And for me, it's an honor. In fact, I consider it an accomplishment, the fact that I get to be part of your show.
Well, you're a true 1%er, man. I mean, and a 1%er for me is somebody who has overcome huge adversity, you know, have made a huge impact. And man, and I mean, you are relentless. Yes. I mean, you are somebody that admittedly, you know, you're not the smartest, you're not the best at anything, but you just don't give up. Exactly. Tell me about your humble beginning. I want to learn about, you know, I know you were born in Madrid, you know, and tell me about your humble beginning and how you grew up and what happened.
Absolutely. So I was born in Madrid. At 5 years old, I moved to Zaragoza, a small town northeast of Spain. And I was very lucky that I was able to spend some time in France when I was 9 and in England when I was 10 years old. So that opened my mind.
Okay, so you spent some time in France and in England when you were 9 and 10.
Yes.
Okay, and that expanded your mind. Tell me how.
Exactly. So it showed me that there is a world out there, that there are possibilities, that my life does not need to be my environment. So I grew up in a pretty poor environment, and humble is the word you chose to describe it. And I just didn't like where I was and what I was doing. I was not inspired by my teachers, and I saw nothing but limitations. So, but again, that was the product of my traveling. So once I tasted freedom, if you will, and opportunities and possibilities, I came back to Spain, and I have to admit, I wasn't happy. And when I was 14 years old, I decided to stop going to school. I spent a whole year just going to libraries, cafes. I literally stopped studying at 14 in school, but I think
you started self-educating after that.
Yes, I think I'm one of the guys that I attend every seminar, I read every book, right? And so since I was 14 years old, I really spent my time studying the subjects that I was interested at.
Yeah.
And when I was 15, I had a conversation with my mother. I told her the truth. Mom, I have not been going to school. I'm sure you're going to get a letter soon, but I'm not happy. And I want to move out. I want to travel the world, and I moved to Mexico.
So let me understand this really quick. So you were born in Madrid, okay? You lived, 8 and 9 years old. You experienced France and England.
Yes.
Okay. You saw a whole new opportunity
through family exchange.
Through family exchange programs. So
they send a student home.
Yes.
And you go over there.
Right. So you saw a whole different world, a whole new possibility, and then when you came back, it's almost like you were going back, like you were regressed, right? You came back and you're like, well, this is not what I want. You're kind of not happy because you saw the bigger world, the bigger opportunity.
Let's say you've been driving a Volkswagen Golf GTI for a while, and all of a sudden somebody lends you this for a weekend, and then you go back to the Volkswagen.
Yeah, you're
Golf.
like, I'm not happy. Yeah. I totally get it.
So for me is when I'm 15, I go to Mexico, and I started working and living on my own ever since. But again, I never saw the lack of the things that I had at the time. I had this thing where I just saw opportunity, and I figured out early on that the game of getting somewhere, the game of having, starts here. So I started visualizing the life that I wanted to live and the things that I wanted to do,
at such a young age. So you went from Spain to Mexico?
Yes.
And you were 14?
I was 15.
15.
When I did that. I landed $300.
And wait a second, I'm just trying to process this because this is crazy to me, right? You went back with who?
By myself. I mean, I actually traveled with a friend of my family, which he was an older person. I traveled with them, but I landed, and my first job, I landed a job selling taximeters. anything.
In Mexico?
Yes, in Mexico City.
And then how long did you stay there? Or did you, I mean, I'm just trying to process.
Yeah, so mind you, Mexico is a country where I've seen 7-year-old working. One of my best friends, he's from Paraguay. He started selling alfajores, desserts, and quail eggs in buses when he was 7 years old. Like, there are people today among us that started working at 7 years old.
No, I get.
Like, that's not an old tale of, no. It happens, man. So in Mexico, it was not that awkward. In the United States, a 15-year-old rolling alone, like, even, people will freak out.
But why Mexico? Why? I mean, I'm just trying to process, though, why wasn't it England, France, and why did you choose to go to Mexico?
I always wanted to live in LA.
Okay.
I always wanted to live in LA, and I thought that Mexico was a great segue.
Got it.
To get me here.
Makes sense.
And I spoke the language, and I love Mexico, man.
Oh, I love Mexico.
I love Mexico.
I love Mexico so much. I married one.
You married one. That's how much I love Mexico. But my best friends are from Mexico. Yeah. And I just love that country. It's talking about passion, authenticity, joy. I learned to be happy in Mexico. In Mexico and among poverty, I learned that happiness is an acquisition we make every day.
I'm telling you, I'm so glad you brought that up because, I'm Persian.
Yeah.
And
very similar culture, Spain and Iran,
except Persians to me, they're not happy. No, never seems like. They're not either. They're not either.
That's
like I know Persians that are like multi-millionaires and billionaires, and they're like not happy. And then and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I love about the Persian culture. But I've learned from the Mexicans that you can be happy whether you have it or you don't have it.
That's right.
I was talking to my really good friend Ed Milet. And he was talking about the same thing where one time, he actually was building a house right here in this neighborhood, and he was so mad because, something was delayed and, for 2 weeks, and he came back, he was ready to chew out the contractor, and he came in, it was 110 degrees outside, he walks into the home and he sees, a bunch of Mexicans that are working and happy, listening to mariachi music, eating a burrito, and they're happy, and he goes, man, I'm this multi-millionaire guy, and I'm just pissed off about nothing, and these guys are happy. What the F is wrong with me? So I'm so glad you brought that up, man, because I love that about, the Mexican culture.
And again, happiness is an acquisition that we make every day, meaning we dictate, today I'm going to be happy no matter what. It's a state of mind, it really is. And it sounds cliche.
No, it really is.
It really is, man. And that is one thing that I loved about Mexico, South America, and that I love about the United States.
Yes.
I am an American citizen, even though I am foreigner and obviously I have a super thick accent, but sometimes I've told people, dude, I feel that I am more American than many Americans that I meet, because I appreciate every day the freedom, the opportunity, the economy, regardless what people say.
Because you've seen out there. It's almost like, you and
I know.
Oh yeah, we know. There. Yeah, we've been. Yeah, we're out there. You appreciate it because if this was always your normal, then you don't appreciate it because this is what normal is. But when your normal was so much worse than this, you come and this is like, oh my God, you see the opportunity, and that's why they said the immigrant edge, right? People who come from an immigrant country, they come here, all they see is opportunity, and they're happy, and they do that because that opportunity never existed before,
People talked about a recession. It didn't affect me. Even bad economy here is still, right? Seriously. Like, we know, right? We have that point of reference where we know what it is to grow up in an environment where there's no opportunity.
None.
Hey, my friends in Spain, and Spain, by the way, it's still considered a first world country. Yeah. It's Europe. But hey, many of my friends have not one, 2 college degrees because they couldn't find a job and school is free. They went back to college. I have friends that have 2 college degrees, doctorates, cannot find a job, answering phones, selling clothes at the equivalent of Nordstrom's in Spain.
Yeah, same in Iran. I mean, we get it all the time. People with doctorate degrees or engineering degrees, and they can't barely make it.
Exactly. Here, what I love about the United States is it's almost like the curriculum does not matter. If you're hungry and you add value, the doors are open, right?
You make your own economy.
Yeah.
There's opportunity. You make your own economy, and that's what you have done. You've been selling something your whole life.
All my life.
So tell me about your selling process. So taximeter.
Okay, so I started when I was 15 years old. This was the only job I could get, and also the first one. So I was selling taxi meters to taxi drivers. So taxi drivers came in Mexico City, which, by the way, it's a curiosity, is the city in the world with more taxis. New York, just so you know, has around, I believe, the number that last time I looked at it was like 27,000 taxis. Mexico City has 250,000 taxis. Oh. So anyway, so my job was when the taxi driver used to come in for service, I will upsell them the latest unit, right? So imagine at 15, I'm already figuring out how to be charming, how to build rapport, how to find it, to add value to the proposition. So from taxi meters, I moved up and I started selling bulletproof cabins for the taxi drivers to protect them from
somebody try to shoot them.
Yes. And then I started selling LED signs, advertising, time serves. I was in the club business in Acapulco. I lived there for a year. And I've put money together. By the way, homeless twice in this process. Like between my 15th and 20th, I went from at times having $500,000 in the bank, owning 2 apartments and having 3 cars, to literally on the street.
How that happened?
Because this is the thing I look back right now and I had no point of reference. I never had a male figure, a mentor that told me, dude, I was a teenager, I was experiencing life. Yeah. So I made a lot of mistakes. That really has been the school. I've learned that if I spend all the money that I have and I don't keep enough to pay the bills, they're gonna cut the lights out. Like that's how I learned that type of lessons, right? So I'm very grateful that I made a lot of mistakes early on. Yeah. And by the way, on that note, I think people overestimate and give too much meaning to making a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Like people, and I've done that too. Yeah. But I've learned the lesson is we punish ourselves so much. A mistake, and I'm gonna quote the great Grant. Yeah. It's at the end of the day a sign that you're moving in the right direction. If you're making mistakes, means you're playing the game.
You're failing forward. That's all it is.
Yes, exactly. I love that, by the way, failing forward. So that's what it is. Of course, learn from it. Just don't quit. Yeah. And I've seen that the most successful people have developed this quality of spending as little time as possible suffering the consequences of that mistake.
Exactly.
The sooner you can bounce back, forgive yourself, the more successful you're going to be in life. Because I was just talking to one of the big speakers, and he told me, Sergio, like this was behind, it was an event in Vegas. He told me, dude, everybody praises me and compliments me about the 3 successes I've had. Early investor on Facebook, Uber, and some very big marketing media company. He told me, nobody knows about the 32. Hey, bro, look at the ratio. 32 versus 3.
Failures.
So is he the brightest businessman? Is he the... No. It's about doing it. And in a way, I think that is what defines me. We're having a conversation before where I really don't consider myself the best prepared, the most qualified. But if I have mastered a skill, is not quitting, and the best word to define me is relentless. I'm relentless, man.
I mean, that's basically what success is all about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, we want to quote, in baseball, there's 3 strikes and you're out. Yeah. And I was talking about that yesterday, at the Success is Contagious event. Yeah. In life, you get unlimited swings.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
You get unlimited swings. It's not 3 strikes and you're out. You just keep swinging. All you need to do is hit one. Yeah. There's one. The guy, swung 32 times and didn't hit anything. On the 33rd time, he hit something.
I love that. A winner is nothing more than a loser that's tried it one more time.
That's true.
And this is so funny. And I was sharing this with somebody the other day and they didn't get it. But I just found it hilarious and true. A scientist said, after trials and spending 45 years on the field, I've learned that we always hit it in the last try. Think about it for a second. Yeah. We always hit it in the last try. It's like, dude, a winner is nothing but a loser. Try one more time. It's, for example, my show, and this is, financially speaking, the television show, I became the I'll tell you a story.
I want to know I know you got into how that
thing, but really quick on that is, I was told no 150 times. And I was just sharing with somebody, can you imagine if I would have quit at 147?
Yeah.
So I saw the need. So so Mexico, we were in Mexico. I make some money. I'm 20 years old, confident, cocky, arrogant. And I'm like, I'm going to come to the United States and I'm going to own this, right? And big dreams. And in my eyes, I was going to be a billionaire at 25. And that was pre-social media, pre-everybody. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm going to make billions of dollars and I'm going to retire at the age of 25. So I put some money together and I came to the US to start a business in the VoIP industry. VoIP, voice over internet protocol. We were selling a similar service to, similar to what we know today as Skype. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, I'm talking about 20 years ago, we were charging for that service. But DSL, the technology, the internet, the bandwidth couldn't support what we demanded from it, so it failed miserably. And one of those, dude, like I came in with everything invested, like all in, like no plan B, like freaking boom. And I fell miserably, and because it was so bad, because I didn't know how to do business in the US. You know, it's one of these, a big mistake, but it taught me a lot. And after that one, I wanted to take a little break from the cold calling, door knocking, pushing, and I got into the entertainment industry. I saw that nobody was taking advantage of a format that's proving to be successful all over the world, which is the late night talk show. I'm a big fan of comedy. Mm-hmm. And I always loved the late night talk shows. And nobody was doing it in the Spanish market. You know, Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world after Mandarin, and the biggest growing demographic in the US. So you start avoiding the market and you're like, well, I got to expose this. Listen, man, I made a few calls. Nobody wanted to give me an opportunity, meaning nobody wanted to do it for me. So I said, I got to do it on my own. So I worked, saved everything that I could while I was writing, developing, and producing the show. So this is what I did. Having never done TV, I rented a studio, I rented the equipment, I wrote a script. I asked my friends to help me put together the crew and even the guests. And I directed and shot and hosted a pilot. And I even edited the whole thing. Like I did it all. And we didn't have money for the teleprompter. So I had a friend of mine. Roll up signs. Dude. I call it the Flintstone teleprompter, dude. Like he was like this, bro. Yeah. But how charming is that when you do things that way, right? Bro, that's the beauty of a startup, man. When you look back, you know, that's the beauty of it. You look back at those things, you're like, you know what, man? You know, I've did it all. You didn't stop. And one thing that I'm getting to know about you is that all your life, you've gone all in. All in. You've never half-assed anything. No. You know, you went all in, even though, you know, you were like, okay, if this doesn't work, then I have plan B. You know, you went all in, you didn't care. You burned the boats, you burned the bridges, and you were like, what? I mean, you left 15, you left your mother to come to a strange country, you know, just to start, you know, building your dream. You know, I mean, that's just unheard of. Unheard of. I mean, like I wouldn't have the balls to do that. Nobody have the balls to do that, because leave the comfort of their hometown, their mother, to come to a whole new country, you know, in dreams, and everything you went all in. And you know, when you went to the, you know, the entertainment industry, all in. You went all in. You know, and that's, I think, so noble, because in my opinion, there's nothing to lose, man. You know what? Right? There's nothing to lose. What? You know, a lot of people though will disagree. They're like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And that's why they don't succeed. You know. Oh, what if? You know, they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They're never all in, and they're always scared to, you know, go all in, because they want to have a plan B and a plan C. Sometimes, in my opinion, you have to just say, you know what? I'm going to go on. I'm going to give it my all. And if I fail, and I learn, and that's what you always said. You know, I failed miserably, but I've learned from it, and I got back up, and I never quit. And you kept moving forward, you kept going all in, and that's where you are today, man. And I just want to learn, because I'm looking at patterns of what you have done. You know, I'm looking at the patterns of more successful people like you, and it's all burning the bridges, going all in, burn the boats. There's no, hey, if I fail, I fail, but I'm going all in. Absolutely. To me, I mean, I don't know how people can manage and be sophisticated enough to arrange and have exits, and that does not work for me. Yeah. And I know myself. If I have a plan B, to me, that means that as soon as I'm going to hit some sort of, which is always going to be there,
Yes.
you know, hey, is this,
Yes.
but let's not blame ourselves.
It's a cop-out.
It's our nervous system, right? It's our nervous system is wired to keep us safe. So if there is another option that is not as, we're going to tend to go there. At least that's how I operate.
You know, it's funny, man. You know, I had Anthony Morel on the show, and he talked about the same thing. Most people, you know, they go in, and as soon as a bump in the road comes, they revert back. They revert back. They revert back. You know, I see in the weight loss industry, because you know, I own a bunch of gyms, and that's what I do. I help people, you know, get in shape. You know, they're all in, and all of a sudden they hit a little bump. Oh my God, you know, when they go to a party and they have a drink or have a slice of pizza, and they go right back to their old ways, right? And say, hey, you know what? You know, I hit a roadblock. No big deal. I'm gonna jump back on and keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just human nature, man. And that's why most people, you know, they start over and over and over and over again, because as soon as things get hard,
you quit.
They quit.
And I'm gonna step it up a notch. And it's not just about, so that takes a lot, right?
Yeah.
We're in agreement.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to be that way. But do you know what? It takes even more than that is even when you fail, to try it again, right? Because one thing is to go all in without plan B, but if you go all in and you fail, and you go all in again into something and you fail, that is the true skill to master. For example, hey, everybody has big dreams. You're 19 years old. Mom, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna work, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna buy you a house. Girl, I'm gonna make $100 million, I'm gonna take care of you, we're gonna get married. Like when you start sharing it around and you fell at that, and people point a finger at you, right? Because people are crappy,
oh yeah,
by the way.
for sure.
And they'll put you down, look at him, didn't you say that you were gonna do? So for you as an individual, that's when it really counts, right? That is when most people, listen, very few people there to play the game at that level, but even less after a bad experience there to do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it really is at, is to master the capacity to understand failure, to understand that it's a process. Yeah. Churchill, Winston Churchill, said, I just want to be specific because I want to honor the one of the greatest men in history, said, success is success is going from failure to failure without losing the enthusiasm.
Yep.
How brilliant is that?
It is brilliant. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many people just easy to get discouraged. Oh, everything that they discourage, everything they want to blame somebody. They want to say, oh, why it didn't work, and start pointing fingers and all that kind of stuff. But if you really want to be successful, just get back up. And here's an analogy, that I love to use is, as kids, when you were trying to learn how to walk, how many times did you fall down? How many times did you fall down before you actually mastered walking? Hundreds and hundreds of times.
I never thought about that.
A kid never said, oh my God, I fall down, and you know what, I'm just going to stay down because this walking thing is not going to fucking work for me. You know what I mean?
You try until you walk.
You try
until you walk.
Yeah, you
that
can
could
walk.
be 5,000 falls, 3 years of falling. But you try until you walk. That is a brilliant analogy.
Thank you.
May I take that?
Of course.
And use it with me.
Of course. As adults, man, as adults, because people keep pointing fingers at you, and because now you all of a sudden you care about other people's opinions, and you care about what people say about you and all that kind of stuff, and then now you also have a high performance engine, but put a limit or governor on it, and now you're like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to rev the engine. What will he say? She said, or what will people think? Who cares? Just go out there and be your best, be relentless. And this is what you do, this is what you have done. Yeah. So tell me, after your TV show.
I found this so interesting.
Yes,
I love it.
It
man.
really is.
I love it. It's so great, dude, that you're doing this, by the way.
Thank you.
It's such a gift for people. It's very inspiring, man.
Well,
your show, like how I said, I'm very romantic in the way that I think, but when we're doing these things and you're doing these things, I imagine, there is somebody in a different country going through a bad time, but if they come across this type of content, maybe just watching this and being exposed to this is going to give them hope and the strength to not quit. And I think that's just so beautiful. Right?
Life is all about fulfillment. For the longest time, I did not want to start a podcast because it takes a lot of time. This is nothing that I'm getting paid for.
No, and money. You're actually spending money. Look absolutely. At the crew and the equipment. I appreciate that.
So, but I'm like, you know what? There comes a time when you have everything, and then you say, you know what? If I can just change somebody's life, if I can just make a difference, if somebody's going to just listen to this and take something and be able to change their life, and I made an impact. I can die and say, you know what? I made an impact in the world. Yeah. And that's why we're here, man. I appreciate you sharing your story. You come in, you come in here, and it's amazing.
Somebody said the other day, once I got to the top, I realized that the only purpose of being at the top is to go back down so you can pull somebody else there with you.
Bring others with you. Yep.
And now you see, now I get all the philanthropy. Like when you don't know, I used to judge, well, that guy's just doing that for publicity. Not really, man. I understand now how extremely accomplished wealthy people, and I'm talking about the people that are really set up, the billionaires. Yes. They realize, dude, honestly, like how many cars can we drive?
Yeah.
I'm sick of the restaurants, the planes, right?
It's so true.
You get to a point I see right now, it's like, you know what? The only thing that really matters is improving the condition of somebody else. Yeah. That is like when you're operating at that level, that means, bro, you're. But you know what? And this is to be fair. I don't judge people that are not operating at that level because I think that we need to go through the experiences of buying more cars than we can drive, spending the $500 dinners, the arrivals in the hotels. You need to do that in order to get it out of your system, right?
You know what? It's so funny you say that. It's almost like you read my mind, or maybe you're like listening to something I was saying to my crew all the time. I talk to my crew all the time. It's funny because when I was growing up, for me, because we didn't have anything. Yeah. For me, success was the mansion and the cars and all that.
For sure. That's what we want.
And for me, I was always a car enthusiast. All my life, I liked weightlifting, sports, and cars. You know what I mean? And girls. But thank God, man, I never died down to one because that cost too much.
Oh no, that's too much. Now talking about.
Yes, yeah. That was so. But it's funny because now that I'm here, it's almost like, it's a point of diminishing return, right? Okay, so I was telling everybody, like, if I get a $100 million check tomorrow, my life is not going to change. You know what I mean? Now, if you have nothing and you're just struggling to pay rent, you get $20,000, your life will change. You know what I mean? But at this point, more money, what am I going to do? Buy a bigger house, buy a different car? I'm good.
I bet you use 30% of this house.
Probably less.
Probably less.
Seriously. Yeah, probably less.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. By the way, for those of you that are out there, this home is not just the size and where it's at, the details. Like, I paid attention to every single molding. Like,
thank you.
Listen, there's a lot of people with money. Not everybody has good taste. You have a good taste.
I appreciate that, man. For me, it's the details really matter.
Yeah.
For me, in everything in life, everything like details matter. You know what I mean? And you can have a very modest home, very modest home. But if you have the right details, that makes it so much nicer. You can have a mansion and I just have no details. It doesn't really make difference. Yeah. So I appreciate you noticing that.
No. Of course, is the first thing that I saw. But I don't mean to avoid your question. You keep going out. So I did the show, right? I produced, and I was so proud of it. Bank account upside down. Listen, bank account upside down, late on the rent, but I have a show. And I'm like, okay, crap, now I have to sell it. Because I have a show, but nobody knows about it. So literally, I started showing up, cold calling, like I'm door knocking into TV networks with no appointments, I'll come in. This is classic. How are you? What's your name? Patricia, my name is Sergio, and I'm a television producer. And I have in my hands the show that is going to change your network. I just need 5 minutes with your director of programming, and I assure you, it's going to be the best investment of your life. Kicked out of the network. Like, that's, dude, but over and over. Finally, I got to the big meetings, and I got to, because, bringing the bottle of wine.
Yeah.
But this is I find it charming. Not sad.
I'm picturing Pursuit of Happiness right now.
But listen, I was driving a $1,700 Civic that I bought at an auction car, at an auction, it had a broken seat. So the first thing that I did, because at an auction, you buy a car, you don't get to test it.
Yeah.
You buy what you see. So I had a broken seat. First thing I did is I stopped at the 99-cent store. I bought a $1 broom. I broke and I put it between the back seat and the... Dude, how charming is that? Like, you look back and people, I wasn't embarrassed, man. I know it was a stepping... You see, I was so focused on what was coming, where I was going, that I didn't let that get in the way. But I remember this, I used to park 2 blocks away because I was embarrassed, right? I was coming with a service.
Yeah, I'm a TV producer, right?
Exactly. So I was parking I remember.
You wanted people to take you seriously,
bro.
Unfortunately, that's what people see. Oh, he's a TV producer. He can't be good, right? Yeah. Unfortunately,
you know what it is? The biggest mistake that people don't attempt that because they're so consumed by their current situation and environment. For example, I didn't let the car, the bank account upside down, the fact that I didn't probably have money for the meter dictate who I was. I chose who I was and who I wanted to be, and I acted like it. I didn't listen, man, I think that is now I think this is valuable for those that are watching that might be coming up and find themselves in that situation, is do not let your environment dictate who you are. Who you are is who you choose to be. It all starts here, man. Have a clear idea of who you want to become, then massive action, using all your resources, connections, trying to make that happen. And that's how I did it.
I mean, even when your bank account was upside down, your car was the way it was.
Overdraft.
Overdraft. You showed up like you had $1 billion in your bank account. Yeah,
right.
You showed up like you had $1 billion in your bank account.
Absolutely.
Because that's how you chose. That's how you chose to be.
Exactly. So and very important is, and I'm going to talk about this for a second, just so people, if they go through this process, can identify the steps and not to quit if you face something similar. So I remember the reality was that it was hard. It was hard because I was telling my wife, I was always capable. I'm a capable guy. I'm a guy that I wake up tomorrow in a different country just on my underwear. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to take me time. I might go through, but I know how to sell. By the way, number one skill on the planet, right? Yeah. You got where you are because you're a good salesman at the end of the day. Yeah. So I remember telling my wife, baby, this is going to work. I'm going to make it. It's going to be great. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. But I remember coming home empty-handed over and over and over and over. And a couple of times, I remember my breaking point was I finally got to the #1 network, and I got to sit in front of the CEO. This is a guy with 25 years of experience, accomplished, awards, and he told me, Sergio, I like you, man. I see your passion. I see who you are. You remind me a lot like me when I was young. But look what he told me. He told me, because I like you, dude, I'm going to tell you, quit. It's not going to work out for you, bro. And he told me, listen, man, trust me. Look at my background. Dude, you're too tall.
Said that?
He told me, you're too bold, you're too tall, you're from Spain. This is not for the market. Nobody's ever done this show because it doesn't work for the audience. That is when, dude, I was in front of the big, imagine Michael Jordan telling you, you will never be able to play. Imagine that, how heartbreaking. Well, guess what? 3 months later, he was the first person that called me when my show made it nationwide prime time. So, so now I received, and I was with Grant at the time actually. And working with Jared, which I love dearly, Jared Glenn, dude. I have so much love for that guy.
Shout out, Jared.
Yeah, JJ, and I received a phone call. And one of the meetings I've had, one of the seeds that I had planted, finally, this was after a year and a half, 150 no's, I received a phone call. Hello, Sergio. This is the VP of development of the second largest producer of Spanish content on the planet. Sergio, M here. I'm not going to say her name. M here. I have good news and bad news. And I'm like, good news first. We're buying your show. Bad news, you need to be on the air in 6 days. Because the thing, what I sold them, I didn't sell them the concept and for them to hire me as a host. No, I told them, I am a production company. I am going to write, develop, produce, edit, and publish the content.
Oh, shit.
Oh, dude, it was huge, right? So I licensed the deal. I own the brand and the characters till this day. And I remember I told her, that's a good problem to have. And I hang up, and I still remember to this day that moment, man. That moment when everything paid off. And I called my guy, Manolo Travieso, who was our executive producer and director at the time, and I told him, Manolo, he was shooting a film in Puerto Rico. I'm like, dude, I need you here in LA. We're shooting. I don't have material. So literally 6 days later, primetime nationwide, we were on the air. So, dude, I didn't sleep for 4 days. Like, you can, like, people think that, right?
This is your big break. This is your big break.
That when it comes. No, dude. It came, and I was like, oh shit.
You know what? You just got to use
now
it.
I have to deliver. But listen, man. I know. And for example, I really like guys like David Goggins that talk about that, understand what you can do. I've experienced that. We are so much more capable than what we think we are.
Sure.
We can push our bodies and our nervous system through so much, right? I mean, hey, you're a bodybuilder. You know about that more than anybody.
I mean, that's when I first noticed, my mind's limitation. My mind always limited what my body could do. My mind always gave up before my body.
It's like we're driving with a governor,
yes,
right?
Yes, and once I've learned that, that it's just all in my head. Mm-hmm. I can push my body, further. I can run, run further. You can
do one more push-up,
yes,
bro.
absolutely. You know what I mean? And that's where not only it helped me in the bodybuilding world and the fitness world, but it helped me in my business and everything else I do in my life. Because we put so many limitations based on what we believe and what people have tell us and what the producer told you. And you know what? We can't. We can't do that. We just gotta go after what we believe in our heart, be relentless, and not taking 150 no's for a no.
Exactly. Again, imagine if I would have quit at 1:40. Imagine if I would have quit after that meeting. Dude, if you're gonna quit, that's a good time to quit. The number one dude told me, you are never gonna make it, right? After the show, we did 3 orders. I got that out of my system. I got back into sales. I used to work as a consultant helping foreign companies open market in the US. So my job as a high pay consultant was to study their product, develop a script, hire people, train them, motivate them, get the sales going, and once the company was operating in the black, I'll get the rest of my deal and walk away. So I did that for a while, and then I came across a French company that was selling solar. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was going through the process of studying the product, I fell in love with solar and renewable energy. I mean, a product that, first of all, presented properly, sells itself, is good for the environment, adds value to the property, saves money for the home. I mean, I love solar. So when that day, and this is 8 years ago, I came across this product and decided that I was going to spend the rest of my life selling solar. So I've been in the solar renewable energy industry ever since, and we're operating in several states in the United States, and we're doing really well. And it is something that I'm very proud of. Why I'm sharing that with you, it's kind of like a segue to share with you my next project. So what I'm working on right now. So I've developed the ultimate online sales training academy, and I'm recording it in both English and Spanish. So I'm, the good Brad Lee.
Yes.
So I'm using Lightspeed VT.
Lightspeed, awesome. We use that. The best in the business.
The best in the world. So I'm doing a program in both English and Spanish, but it's gonna be really geared to the Latin market. So I'm very proud of the product.
So it's basically a sales university.
Yes.
For people to be able to, and you've done it. You've done it. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. You've been selling stuff since you were 14 years old.
Absolutely.
So that's crazy. So when is this coming out?
So I've already done 2 shoots. It's a lot of content, man. Because this is the thing.
Are you shooting in Las Vegas?
No, I have a studio.
Okay,
my
got it.
home.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
I own my own equipment,
Gotcha.
and I have So I'm doing this on my own, and because I have so many ventures and so many things going on, I cannot just take a month off.
Yes, for
I
sure.
wish I could take a month off and just do it, right? So I'm doing like a weekend here, a weekend there. But the thing is, why it's a lot of content is I see that what people are doing as far as Sales University goes is they are just telling the student, if you will, ask for the money, close the deal. I'm breaking down the process so the student, the individual, can understand that it can be replicated over and over again. I teach my student the psychology of the buyer, the psychology of the salesperson, what really pitching is, how to build rapport. I make a very, very big distinction between being a scam artist and a manipulator, because, by the way, that approach only works, with a week, and that's unethical. So I'm teaching people, be a professional, learn as much as you can about the product, learn the process of the sale, study the prospect, make sure. I'm taking it to a whole different level as far as depth and understanding of the process goes. Almost like a doctorate. That's why I call it the Encyclopedia of Sales. That's the name of my product. Where I teach people a trade and a skill. Because I've been in business for 25 years, in many different industries. Everything has one thing in common: selling.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're selling yourself when you are getting a job, when you are asking your girl out, when you are pitching the bank for the loan, when you're pitching a product, you're selling everybody all the time around you.
Absolutely.
So that's why at the end of the day, even though I am doing solar, I just shot another pilot. I'm going to apply the same formula. I'm doing, again, nobody's doing it in the Spanish market. Are you familiar with Last Week Tonight with John Oliver?
Yeah.
The Daily Show with Jon Stewart? That format of sharing the news in an entertaining, clever, and funny way is not being done in the Spanish market. So I just shot a pilot, news in less than 20. It's called, I want to take advantage of the short format. I think that nobody these days has the patience and the brain power to sit an hour and a half in front of the TV. And so
not these days. No.
People do. Yeah. So I want to entertain, inform my audience. So I just shot another show that I'm shopping around right now. I'm taking it everywhere: Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, not just the TV networks, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, that model, what we know today is disappearing. It's going away. So I just did that show. I'm expanding and opening my solar business in yet another state. Renewable energy and solar is not the future, is the present.
Yes.
So I'm doing all this, but at the end of the day, talking about leaving a legacy, I'm launching myself as the sales trainer for the Spanish market. And Spanish being, again, I apologize for repeating myself, the second most spoken language in the world. The market is there, the opportunity is there. It's been neglected somewhat. So I just want to, I've put together this product that I'm going to launch, and hopefully I want to start transitioning so I went from sales to the VP, the business owner, to consulting. Right now I want to transition to speaking, inspiring, and motivating individuals across the planet. So that is where the playground I'm going to be spending time at.
Wow. We have so much in common because we're doing the same thing. We traveled different roads, but the same roads in different aspects.
Venues.
In different venues, absolutely. Different
yeah.
venues. It's funny because you obviously have a very successful business with the solar right now. Mm-hmm. You're always doing something with the entertainment industry.
Always.
Because you see the void, because you know what's out there, and you're like, wait a second, if this can be done in English, why not in Spanish? Mm-hmm. Why not to the second most spoken language?
And nobody's doing it.
Yeah, it's weird. Because you see the opportunity, right? And now, everything that you have done all your life, selling everything and anything according to yourself, you know what I mean? Now you just gonna break it down into a simple step-by-step process. Not only, like I said, hey, close the deal, but understand the psychology of it, which is very, very important. Because it's one thing being able to sell, but it's another thing being able to break it down, why you're selling, why you're saying this, and understanding the psychology of it. One of my
why the customer is behaving and reacting this way.
Yes.
A customer sometimes, some people are preconditioned to be careful with sales guys.
Yeah.
And there's a wall. And you need to understand that once you identify that there's a wall, unless you break that down, there's going to be no communication. You can spend hours talking to a prospect, they're not going to digest it because they're going to be consumed in their own mind. So those are things people are not talking about, and I want to break it down. Why? The difference between me and other trainers out there is, dude, I've signed over 3,000 deals in my career myself. I'm talking about in general, not just solar. I've pitched and signed,
closed 3,000 deals.
Do you know how many hours in the kitchen table, how many no's, how many threads, how many?
I don't want to know.
Think about it. So that's one thing that I have under my belt that nobody can take away from my experience. Dude, I've door knocked, cold call, been a consultant, manager, director of sales, VP of sales. There was one point, dude, that it was not my company. I was the VP of sales for a company, 300 million a year revenue. Like we had, 300-400 sales. I'm talking about each sale being $50,000-$60,000. Like I've had big teams. I've had 150 sales guys underneath me. You know what it takes to motivate, train, inspire, and make sure everybody's holding hands towards? It takes a lot. So that is one thing that I have is the experience. And I thought that the time for a product like this was in order. Because what you see all the time,
it's gonna crush, man.
It's just like, it's so simple, and to me it's obnoxious because it's doing a disservice.
Will you, I know you're gonna go after the Spanish market.
Yeah.
But would you listen the English version? Because I want to get the English version.
Yeah.
I'm
doing it in English as well.
Oh, are you? Okay, because
and just I want you to
I'm interested. I like, honestly, I'm not saying that because you're here. I love the psychology of sales. I love the psychology of sales. You know what I mean? I love the psychology of influence. One of my favorite books of all times is Influence by Robert Cialdini. He talks about.
I have not read it.
Oh my God! He basically shows what was called 6 weapons of influence, of how you can influence people, and it's funny because, like you said, influence or sales is just getting people to move further, towards what they want anyway. And I'm always a student, and when you're talking about your product coming out, I'm actually excited. I'm like,
I'll
I'm ready.
share with you. I'll get you a login. I'm doing it through VT. In fact, I'm gonna send you a link right now because we just did a little promo. The setup, I think you're gonna like it. So it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not self-conscious about my accent or that I'm gonna be competing with the big guys. I just see the need for this product in the Latin community, and Spanish being my first language. It's like I want to be of service to that instead of instead of being another guy selling right in the English-speaking market. I want to go down that route first. Having said that, I am shooting in English and it's going to be available. I'm just saying that my marketing approach, right, choosing an avenue and going all in, I'm going to spend the marketing dollars and I'm going to create awareness and I'm going to mainly make the effort in the Spanish market, but it's going to be available there in the English as well. So. Man, that's what I'm doing. I'm still gonna grow the solar business. I'm gonna be doing this show, and really I want to establish myself as a speaker, as a trainer. It's just so funny how today I go to a lot of conferences. By the way, you'll see me. I'm a very humble guy. I'll sit usually at the front with a notebook, and I go through.
Yeah, you're a student. You're always
even if you get one nugget, right?
Absolutely.
In a day, you add it to
absolutely.
Everybody, do you know, man? It's and this is not because people are gonna say he's hating. No, but he's starting to rub me off the wrong way. The fact that lately, when I go to conferences and the big ones, everybody talks about what you should focus on is financial freedom. How do you get financial freedom? Invest in multifamily real estate. And this is the thing that I'm like, dude. To invest and be successful in the multifamily real estate game, first of all, you need a lot of money, you need excellent credit, but more important, you need connections. Like people think that good multifamily deals are all over the place. No, you have extremely well-funded, powerful, experienced corporations constantly hunting down. So the reality, and I'm being intense about this message because I want to be of service to you guys out there. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Like it's not that easy unless you are willing to really overpay on a deal, which is stupid. It's going to be very difficult for anybody to get into the multifamily. So it bothers me that, listen, you're on stage, there's an audience that actually have paid money to go see you. I think you have a fiduciary obligation to add value. So it bothers me that a speaker gets on stage and tells everybody, hey, you want to be great? You want to have a plane like mine? You want to have a car like mine? You need to sell multifamily real estate, and I have put together a program that costs $25,000 that is going to teach you to do that. I don't agree with that. I think that we need to talk about selling, the skill of persuading, influencing, how to overcome fears, and that's why I've put together the program that I have, where I talk about the obstacles that you're going to face in your road to success, right? Yeah. Hey man, you're gonna feel that you're probably not good enough, that there's people doing this better than you, that you're not prepared, and probably you're gonna start and you're gonna get hit in the face, right? So I wanna talk about, and this is what I think we, people like us, should talk about to the new guys that are coming up, is like, listen man, this is what you're gonna be facing, and this is what you're gonna feel like doing, and if you're committed to your success, this is what you should be doing. So that's why I like to talk about sales, about building that skill of communication.
That's the basic skill you need to have no matter what you do in life.
Yeah.
You don't have, and you know what, when it comes to success, there's so many different ways to success. It's not like, okay, multi-units, it's whatever is that person wanted to be. For me, success, it was always fitness. For me, it was about helping people get in shape. Maybe I don't want to be in the multi-units, or not saying that's, so success for those of people.
But mind you could get into that business,
of course,
because you're accomplished, you have contacts, and you have money.
Correct.
I'm just saying that to sell a 21-year-old kid that just quit college and had to borrow money to attend the event, and he's probably sleeping in his car because he couldn't afford a hotel, because that's the reality of 60% of the people that come to these events.
Yeah.
To tell that kid that the secret to success and financial freedom is getting in the multifamily unit, which by the way, that's what everybody's talking about today, I think that's just doing a disservice to the people. I think we need to understand where everybody is in their development, and just
not everybody isn't as at that level yet.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot just, right? Let's talk about overcoming a fear, understanding your own psychology,
which is
anyway.
huge.
So that was my rant of the hour. I wanted to get that out of my system.
You know what? And this is where you get it out. And I, wholeheartedly believe in that. I think the basic fundamentals first. You got to be able to walk before you run. You have to crawl before you walk. Now, Sergio, tell me. So you're going to get into this, the speaking industry, and you're going to.
I've been speaking for 15 years, by the way.
But you're going to now go all in.
I'm launching myself now that I feel confident, prepared, have the experience, the right products. I'm not an overnight Instagram fake.
Definitely not.
This is the thing: is you have these 19-year-old kids with 500,000 followers verified that they're renting jets and telling people you should listen to me. I'm the other way around. I did the work for 25 years. I built the curriculum, and I've built the muscle, and now I feel that I am prepared to share something with someone, right? So I've been speaking for a while, but I never really made it public. I've been training people all my life.
Of course,
thousands of people I've trained my life. So, to answer, so that's what I'm doing right now. So I want to focus my energy, effort to establish myself as a top speaker in the circuit. Again, I want to really, really, really go after the Spanish market.
All right. So where can people that are listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube, where can they find more about you?
Perfect. So I have a website, www.sergiobruna.com. I have a YouTube channel under the Sergio Bruna. Follow me on Instagram. That's the new thing, man.
That's the new thing.
Hey, I just started taking Instagram serious 5 months ago. Listen, man, and when I was on TV, right, primetime nationwide, everybody get your Twitter going, I never. But recently I lost a gig. I lost a $65,000 contract, 2 days. right? A multi-level marketing organization in Ecuador, big. You know, there's the Herbalives, the Amways, like $65,000
Why?
contract.
Why'd you lose it?
Because they ended up going with somebody that was more established in social media. But this is the email that I got. And this is when I realized, listen, man, this is undeniable. I either embrace this or I'm going to disappear. I resisted it for so long, but I couldn't. I got an email that told me, we all thought that you are more prepared, that you have a better curriculum, more experience. We like you, the way you speak, the way you, much better. But the investor decided to go with this kid because of his social appearance, right? And we want to publish the event. So the guy had like 700,000 followers. He was verified. But that got to the point where a company admitted, we like you better. We think you will be a better choice. But listen, this guy has a social media.
Yeah. You can't deny that these days. You know, unfortunately, you can't deny that, especially when if they're promoting an event and all that kind of stuff.
They wanted the speaker to have reach.
You know, it's funny because when I got into Instagram is when I met my wife. My wife was like, "Hey, you're not on Instagram." I'm like, "Do I need to?" She goes, "Instagram is where it's at." This was 2 years ago, And I'm like, okay. And about a year ago, I started taking it seriously, and because I know that for me to be able to influence more people, I got to influence more people, through social media. So I'm glad, we're kind of like old school, right? We're kind of old school. But back in the day, old school, your skills was all that needed, your curriculum was all needed. But now it's like, wow, they want to see social. This is like now the new social proof. This is now your new testimonials, how many followers you have and all that.
I always believe that skill, talent, and delivery will trump anything. It should. But guess what? This guy said, listen, at the end of the day, Sergio, we're selling a product, and having this guy right at the head of it means more exposure. And I'm like, but you just stole. But what about the purpose of this event is to train and make your people? No, man. So again,
it's a business, though.
I had to admit it. It took me a long time that I need to play the social media game. So, hey, follow me on Instagram at the Sergio Bruna. I'm sure we can put a little thing underneath. But
it's going to be in the show notes as well. All the links to your YouTube, Instagram, and everything. We're going to put it on the show notes on the thing. And
I love being here, man. Such a compliment that you had me here. It means the world to me because I think really highly of you.
Well,
and you inspire me.
Well,
I look at you sometimes to get me even higher, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's an honor and privilege having you. Next time, though, we're gonna have a barbecue. Have you guys come over? Have a barbecue or maybe a couple of glasses of wine.
Yes.
I appreciate you, man.
Why
Thank you so much
couple?
for coming.
Why just a couple?
Let's have a couple bottles. Let's have a couple bottles, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, man.
It was a pleasure. Thank you all for watching, man.
Hey guys, if you liked today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.